Overcoming adversity is something that everybody has to do at some point in their life. Personally, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes on January 26, 2012. At that moment in my life, I began to question, am I done? Is my athletic career over? Will my life be changed forever? I stayed in the hospital for 2 days as negative feelings and self-doubt flashed through my mind. Why did this have to happen to me? What did I do to deserve this? Truly, at that point in my life, it felt like I had hit rock bottom as I had been stripped of one of the most important things in my life, my health and my physical abilities. I had grown up participating in both team and individual sports. Athletic competition was an important part of my life. That week went by very slowly, and I began to realize that I had to overcome this challenge. I was searching for an answer, and I decided to rephrase the question. Why me? Turned into why not me as winter turned into spring. Our 8th grade track coach approached me and promised that diabetes was nothing but a hurdle to overcome. Imagine that, a long distance runner transformed into a hurdler. But my biggest hurdle was not going to be on the track. The transformation from a doubtful and naive 8th grader to an 8th grade student headed to the state track meet was simply remarkable. I feel that being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes has not only caused me to recommit to being successful in my athletic endeavors on the track, but it has also made me a better person. Diabetes taught me to never take for granted the simple things in life. Enjoy and embrace every precious moment you have on earth. You'll never know when that can change. I was undeterred and challenged the belief that diabetes was a crippling and debilitating disease. Essentially, it taught me one major lesson. In life, all people are bound to face challenges and adversity. They have the option to quit and throw in the towel when things become difficult, or they can dig deep and overcome the obstacles in their way. The countless insulin shots, the restless nights with low blood sugar, and the painful needle pricks all serve as motivation to move forward and embrace who I am. Instead of letting this interfere and create limits in my life, I have accepted and embraced this medical condition, and I am a better person both on the track and off the field because of it. At this point, you're probably wondering, who cares? This is just a story about a diabetic scrub from Menor. What does it actually matter? Well, diabetes actually directly impacts over 29 million people in the United States, which is almost 10%. So, 1 in every 10 people in the United States has diabetes. Needless to say, this is widespread. But will there be a cure in the foreseeable future? In order to understand this question, there are some common misconceptions about diabetes that I hope are resolved from watching this video. There are 2 types of diabetes that exist today. Type 1 diabetes is inherited genetically and is usually contracted as a child or a young adult. In order to get type 1 diabetes, the person must have the genetic background that makes him vulnerable to the disease. Then, the person may contract a typical virus that is similar to the common cold. Although this may seem like any ordinary illness, the specific virus will trigger the genetics already active, and from this point on, the pancreas ceases to work. For type 1 diabetics, the pancreas completely stops producing insulin to regulate the blood glucose level of the diabetic. For this reason, the diabetic can choose to either receive insulin from shots or an insulin pump. So this is how it works. People consume foods with carbohydrates in them. Then, the body will break down these carbohydrates in the glucose, and the glucose is regulated from insulin produced in the pancreas. Since the pancreas ceases to function in type 1 diabetics, they must obtain insulin in other ways. It is sort of like a constant balance between carbohydrate consumption and insulin injection. So, for every meal I eat, I need to take a shot, as well as 1 time every night. Personally, since I have been diagnosed over 4 years ago, I have injected myself over 8,500 times, and this is excluding the finger pricks to test the blood glucose. There are 2 different types of insulin that diabetics can use. Lantus is long-term insulin that lasts over the course of 24 hours. Humalog or Novolog is short-term and will have an impact right away. This is why diabetics are required to count their carbohydrates. Personally, I take 1 unit of Humalog for every 15 carbohydrates I eat. This varies significantly from diabetic to diabetic. Diabetics who exercise and are in good shape need to take less insulin than diabetics who are out of shape. People who do not maintain a healthy blood glucose level will have higher A1C hemoglobin levels. An A1C hemoglobin level is an average of the blood sugar of the diabetic spanning over the previous 3 months. An A1C hemoglobin between 4 and 6 is deemed normal for both diabetics and non-diabetics. Between 6 and 8 is considered good for diabetics, and levels above 8 are dangerous and show that the diabetic is not in good control of his blood sugar. This can be dangerous for a multitude of reasons. Thinking short term, diabetics who have high blood glucose levels, also known as hyperglycemia, can experience blurry vision, weight loss, headaches, constant thirst, and frequent urination. Doctors detect diabetes by seeing if there is any excess glucose spilling over in the urine of the patient. This can deteriorate not only the pancreas, but other internal organs such as the kidneys and the liver. Diabetics who experience low blood sugar, also known as hypoglycemia, can experience sweating, blurry vision, mood swings, headaches, hunger, and if left untreated, this could result in a diabetic coma. In the short term, hypoglycemia is certainly more dangerous than hyperglycemia, and this could be deadly to the diabetic. Now, having diabetes can have impacts on the health of the diabetic in the long term as well. Diabetics with poor self-control can have poor blood circulation throughout their entire body. Therefore, their nervous system is impacted and damaged severely. This is why some diabetics may even require amputations. Also, prolonged high blood sugar can lead to failing internal organs that can have an effect on the health of the diabetic. But, when controlled and maintained, type 1 diabetics can lead a completely normal and healthy life. Several celebrities and athletes have type 1 diabetes that you may not even know about. Jay Cutler has diabetes and he's the quarterback for the Chicago Bears. Chris Dudley had a 13-year NBA career. Scott Verplank was a 5-time PGA Tour winner. And Gary Hall Jr. was a 5-time Olympic gold medalist in swimming. And all of these people are successful type 1 diabetics. Not to mention, Halle Berry and Nick Jonas are also type 1 diabetics. Type 2 diabetes is another form of diabetes, but aside from the common name, they are completely different. Type 2 diabetes occurs when the body produces insulin, but the body has developed a resistance to this hormone, so additional measures must be taken for the insulin to be absorbed. Typically, type 2 diabetics tend to have a larger BMI, body mass index, or are older. But of course, there are some exceptions to this, like Patrick Peterson, who is a Pro Bowl NFL cornerback. Once you get type 2 diabetes, you can actually get rid of it, unlike with type 1 diabetes. Also, pills are offered for type 2 diabetics instead of injections. So, will there be a cure? What's the timetable? Frankly, as of right now, there is no timetable and there is no cure. But with technology advancing and people continuously donating for the cause, I predict a cure will be discovered within my lifetime, and probably the next 30 years. Undoubtedly, both of these diseases can alter one's life significantly. However, it is how they handle this that determines their character. Overcoming adversity and defying the odds are something diabetics simply have to do in order to lead a successful life. We are labeled as weak and unhealthy, as we are limited to certain occupations. Diabetics cannot be astronauts, police officers, or work in the front lines of the armed forces. And I know there are more occupations that cannot be staffed by diabetics. Personally, I wouldn't recommend working in a candy store either. As a diabetic, I feel it is our responsibility to ignore these labels and continue to lead our desired lives how we choose. You can't always choose what may happen to you in life, but you can always choose how you respond. And when you respond with the diagnosis of diabetes in a positive manner, the results can can be really, really sweet. Thank you.